We were taught to not talk to strangers. As a matter of fact, we taught our kids not to talk to strangers. And then we wonder why, as adults, we are terrified to network. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the ludicrousity, that's a word, of thinking I can't talk to strangers or that there's a such thing as stranger danger. Because all of my opportunities, including this best-selling book From Waiter to Greater, came from talking to strangers. And I'm actually going to read you the foreword later on in the video that was written by the stranger that made the whole thing possible and how that came to be. But first, I want to talk to you about what the real problem is in not talking to strangers. And then I want to talk to you about why talking to strangers will change your life, what people get wrong about networking, why the system broke in the first place, what actually works now in the age of AI, especially in the age of AI, practical steps that you can take immediately to get over this fear or anxiety you have of talking to strangers, some questions that you can ask these strangers. I'm going to tell you a few more stories about why talking to strangers is actually beneficial for you. And then the really big reframe. And if you stay to the end, I got a gift for you. So let's jump into the video. Now, the problem with talking to strangers in the first place is that society accidentally trained us or trained people into isolation. We've been taught to not talk to strangers. You never know what someone else is doing. The media does this whole fear mongering thing because fear gets ratings, fear gets views. But is fear really doing anything for you? Like, really, for you? It's doing something for the social media outlets, for the news outlets. It gets people watching. It gets them the cortisol spiking. It gets them engaged. But is it really doing anything for you? I want you to really think about that practically and think about how things are designed and are they helping you? Because if they're not, it may be time to do something different, right? Now, social media created the illusion of connection. And what's really funny about this is Mark Zuckerberg, the creator of Facebook, actually created Facebook because he didn't know how to talk to girls and inevitably made everyone so socially awkward that they can't talk to people anymore. People avoid eye contact. People are so anxious about actually talking to people because we've become keyboard warriors, right? We know exactly how to curate what we're going to say behind a keyboard or behind our phone, but when we get in person, it's like that layer, that safety net we've created, it's not there. And so we have to be us, and we don't know how to be us today. A lot of us, some of us do, but those are the people that are getting the reps in, they're getting the practice. COVID amplified this social hesitation because, this was a paradise for introverts. Like, they can stay at home and yes, please sign me up. But for extroverts, I need you to call and check on your extrovert friends because they're not okay. And we're 6 years past COVID now, and things are still weird. Let's just be real. Things haven't really gotten back to normal. What is normal, right? And then these phones of ours have become emotional pacifiers. Every time we feel an emotion we don't want to feel, what do? We reach for social media, Instagram, TikTok, Reels, and we just pacify ourselves with endless scrolling. Why? What? There's no real connection. And you can comment, yes, if the creator's big enough, can they actually read your comment? Can you go deep, right? You can't really go deep with phones, even with texting. It's there, the context is missing, the energy is missing, the hearing the voice, feeling the energy, it's all missing. And a lot of what is sent in text gets misconstrued or I read text in the worst voice I've ever heard that person in, which keeps me from reaching out to a lot of people, especially if I've heard them in a negative context at some point. And I don't know why I do that. And I might not be the only one. I mean, put it in the comments if that's your um if that's your experience as well. Tiffany says it's a distraction from thoughts and feelings. Absolutely. We pick up that phone so we don't have to hear our thoughts. They're not loud enough. We don't have to feel our feelings. and we can just distract ourselves and pacify ourselves in that moment from the thing that, if we just faced it, it would probably just go away anyway. Right. And then anxiety, um, anxiety is a funny thing because it's the same energy as excitement, really. I mean, sweaty palms, elevated heart rate, increased breathing, um, shaking, like all of that stuff happens when you're excited about something too. But the only difference between the anxiety and the excitement is one will paralyze you, that's the anxiety, and one will mobilize you, that's the excitement. And so if you just change what you're calling it, you can actually use it to your benefit. And right now, people are consuming way more than they're interacting with humans. And that's where the problem is created, because we'll comment on a stranger's post because they made us laugh or they asked us a question, but we won't text or call or talk to the person that's right next to us or closest to us. Like in the grocery store, like if I see something I like about someone, I'll give them the compliment. Girl, I see you with your gray hair growing it out. I see you with your natural curls. What do you use for your curl? I love those shoes. Where'd you get them? That shirt is interesting. What's it mean? Like I am so curious, almost to a fault. But it all starts with a question. Like you don't have to know what to say. You don't have to have the perfect speech to give someone in public or to give to that stranger. You just have to say hello. You have to ask, what's your name? You have to ask them a question. I even go as far as to kind of listen in on a conversation. I don't mean to. I just hear everything around me when I'm not on my meds, and I can hear every conversation. I can hear electricity, all this stuff. But I happen to hear something that I can't leave alone. And then I interject myself into that conversation. And then a relationship's made and an opportunity comes. And I'll get to that later about where that led me. And this one, it wasn't even me starting it, but that's going to be a really interesting story. So confidence is not born in theory, thinking, or planning or preparing. Confidence is born when you have repeated social exposure to doing the thing. So going to meetups, going to networking events, getting out of your house and going to the grocery store instead of ordering your, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, Walmart Plus, whatever. I'm not taking shots at people. I understand the value of, making your list and ordering it ahead of time so you don't impulse buy. I get that. But if you happen to be in a line somewhere, spark up a conversation with a stranger. You never know what'll come from it. Now, that's the problem. I don't like to dwell in the problem too long, because if we focus on the problem long enough, we see more of the problem. So what's the solution? And I'm going to tell you why talking to strangers has changed my life. And I wrote about this in this amazing book, From Waiter to Greater, how, going to meetups literally changed the trajectory of my life. I went to a boot camp for UX design, which is user experience design for those of you that don't know. We design the experiences of how people experience products, sales, services, apps, software. Like, how are you going to experience that from the time you think about it to the time you actually complete your task? That's what we do. Well, I didn't know that was a thing until oh, Elijah, come on, man. Come on. The first courageous person to just hop on here with me. Let's go, man. How you doing, Elijah?
Sup, Gregory? Can you hear me?
I can, man.
Oh. Well, you were monologuing, and it sounds like you're about to land the plane. So, like, what were you about to say?
So I was just talking about how, like, meetups changed the trajectory of my life. And, like, I went to this boot camp, and it was with strangers, right? When we go somewhere for the first time, school, church, whatever, it's all strangers, right? There may be a person that that invited you, but for the most part, it's mostly strangers. And no one becomes a friend or an association or colleague without first being a stranger. And the school was designed to get me back into that same place where I had been the barista, then I'd been the account manager, and now I learned about UX design. So I was going to be there again, because that boot camp was designed to get people to work there. So that's why they taught us, not in theory, but in actual action, how to do UX design. And when I found out it was for that same job, it was like, you know what? I'm going to go network like they said they did. And I'm going to go to meetups and I'm going to break into UX my own way by networking with people. So that's my natural gift. And those conversations that I had at those meetups led to these UX opportunities that took me from 30K to 250K a year. And now, as an author, speaker, and coach, like doing my own thing. So that is the value of talking to strangers. I'm going to ask you real quick before because you're actually one of the next things on my list here was my VidSummit connections. I literally met you. You were a stranger to me, right? And here we are, 2 years later? We've been to VidSummit twice together. I've been on your podcast at least 3 or 4 times. You've been on mine at least twice. We've done the Veggie Outers meetup together. We've got business deals in the pipeline. We've done work together. Like there's so much that has come from Elijah starting out as a stranger.
You know, Gregory, it's interesting you say that. And I was listening a little before I hopped on. And I know you said you're not dunking on the apps like Instacart and Uber Eats or whatever, but I actually did a show last year doing season 2 of my podcast, and it was a solo show. And the topic was, can technology actually hurt your lead generation? And I brought up a few like points. And one point that I brought up is you may be using Instacart or Uber Eats or something because you're in too much of a hurry and you need to get this taken care of. It can't take attention away from what you're doing. And that can have its value, but those should be situations far and few between. If you're using that stuff all the time, there's actually an opportunity cost because each time you go to pick up your food from your favorite restaurant, if you're calling it in, or let's just say you go there and actually do the archaic thing of just placing your order there and then waiting for the food, then you get the food, then you can leave, or you can eat there, but you just do that. That's like 15 or 20 minutes of you being in a public place where you could actually meet your contact. You could meet someone you could do business with later. You can meet a new best friend. How hard is it to find a quote unquote best friend? You can meet your future spouse, all because you went to go pick up your food instead of using Uber Eats. And the same applies for the grocery store and really anything you're using technology for, the quote unquote speed up the process for. So if you're looking to get more clients, one of the first things I would do is actually stop using those apps.
That's so good. And, I wouldn't have got introduced to people in Myron Golden's circle had I done the Offer Mastery Live, virtual. There was a virtual option, but you really don't meet people virtually. Like you see their name, you see their little face. It's like this little circle. And then, you wonder why when you see those people in person, you don't recognize them, but that's another story for another day. Look at that. Myron Golden circles, and then Roderick Brinson pops in the comments. Yes. And we met at Myron Golden's Offer Mastery Live, and that's turned into something completely amazing, which we're going live tomorrow night to talk about how success starts with gratitude. Rod, if you have the ability to hop on with us, hop on in, man. Those random conversations open doors. You mentioned meeting your spouse, right? How many stories have we heard where someone was like, I was in the grocery store and I saw this lady. She had no makeup on. She had her hair in a bun. She had, her sweats on, and I complimented her and she was like, what? This is crazy. And it just led to, we've been married 20 years now, right? Crazy. And then people introduced me to rooms I could have never entered alone, right? Like I wouldn't have met a lot of the people I know had I not talked to a stranger initially. They wouldn't have introduced me to another stranger. If I didn't have kids, I would have been a complete nomad. Like I would have just traveled. And I did this before phones. People thought I was dead because I'd disappear for weeks at a time because I'd meet a stranger. Then they'd introduce me to another stranger. Then 2 states later, I'm like, crap, I haven't been home in a week. And if I didn't have kids, that wouldn't have kept me grounded. But now we're empty nesters. I could do that again. And then this book, it exists because of strangers. He said, can't join the combo, but he's here for the nuggets and honey mustard. Come on, man. Honey mustard. Let's go. And then the Greater University.
I don't know about that. I don't like mustard, but I get where it's coming from. I'll do the ketchup.
Ketchup. Okay. We got people that love ranch watching this as well. So shout out to the ranch lovers. We got all the dip today, the nuggets and the dip. So every major level up in my life started with a conversation. And right now we're having a conversation. Thank you for hopping in. The next topic I was going to talk about, and I'm glad you're here because we've actually done a podcast and had clips from the podcast about this very topic, which is what people get wrong about networking. Because most people think that networking is transactional. They feel like it's fake, manipulative, self-promotional, and it feels greasy, right?
Greasy.
That's a word.
I suppose so. That's the stereotype that people kind of have in their mind. And I'm not sure what contaminated the stereotype because I think it's been there for a while. Because we think of networking, it's almost synonymous with the snake oil salesman in terms of feeling.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because I think there are people that will go to networking events and interact with you for like 30 to 60 seconds, maybe. If it's a real interaction for them, like a big one, you might get 2 minutes. You might just get 2 minutes. And then they move on to the next person. And that experience feels rather shallow. And if that happens a few times, it kind of contaminates the whole word networking. And that's a shame, which is why I think you're the one who kind of told me about being a connector. And I think that's kind of replaced what networking used to be. Kind of like how some people know I've been vegan for 14 years, but the word vegan actually is a fairly new word. It used to be vegetarian. The original vegetarian is what a vegan is. So I bring that up to say that the original networker is now just a connector. Because when you make a connection with someone, I'm going to say something that's crazy. It demands that y'all actually sit there and talk for probably longer than 10 minutes and actually feel some emotions.
Yeah.
That's a world-class, just unbelievable concept nowadays, right?
Right. Yeah. Especially when people don't have their whatever they name their GPT or large language model to filter their answers through anymore, right? I think that's another reason it's been so hard for me to show up consistently is I started depending a little too heavily on the answers I get from GPT and not being the leader in that, like the thought leader, and just asking it, getting lazy with my prompting and asking. And it started giving me way more than I could ever like internalize. And then it just made the imposter syndrome multiply. And then you don't show up as you because I told a friend earlier, I said, showing up with a script kind of feels like I'm wearing form-fitting clothes that I don't want to rip while trying to do flowy dance. Like it's not going to work.
Interesting analogy.
Right? Like you can feel that, right? I'm wearing this like tight suit and I can't bend over to do the flowy dance or twerk or whatever because I'm afraid my pants are going to rip the whole time. So like I got an outline, I got some bullet points to keep me on track so the ADHD doesn't take us all over the map. But that's kind of the same thing with networking. When you show up for a transaction to collect leads that you're never going to follow up with. I don't know where I put all my cards. I had like a stack of cards this thick. And I just met someone earlier at a networking event that had about the same stack. And she's actually following up. But like, I can't tell you how many times someone's given me their card and I've gone to call them and they didn't answer, text them, they didn't reply, email them, they never replied or looked at it. And it's like, why'd you give me your card? And that's the people that you do reach out to, right? Like, why are you giving out your card if you're not going to do the thing that brings the most fortune, which is the follow-up? The fortune is in the follow-up. Period.
Yeah. Well, I actually have two views on that. It depends on the scenario we're coming from. Are we coming from a business/career development scenario where that's the reason you're reaching out to the person? Or are we just coming from the, hey, I connected with this person and I'm reaching out to them just because to reach out. Maybe we could be friends or associates or contacts, etc. I'd say the first one in terms of the business or the career side. I think one thing that helps with that is to actually set an appointment. Say, so what time is your schedule? What's your schedule look like this week? I could give you a call and we could talk about X, Y, Z, etc. And, if they want to and they're serious about connecting or getting your service or just talking with you, they usually will set that day and set that time. And from there, something in their calendar has actually been set And you could do this with AI if you want to make sure they receive a reminder maybe a few hours before. But I
Mm,
found that as long as I do those two things, I can get someone on the phone. But that's because it's made more tangible. Everyone is
mm,
kind of in love with the idea of connecting.
mm.
Let's put some tangible steps into that. And it's going to be up to one of us to do that. I'll go ahead and take on the initiative to make sure it happens. So I'll be the one to initiate, hey, let's go ahead and set this up. This will be the day and time. And I'll set that reminder text out a few hours beforehand. And we get on the phone. And usually that's how I end up closing a lot of clients. But it
Yeah,
takes those steps.
yeah. And I'll even like speak to that. I think you were the one that followed up with me. And listen, I want you to know you don't have to perform or be perfect. Elijah is a perfect example, and I hope you don't mind me telling this. Like Elijah will show up in his full authentic, may I say, awkward self. Like
Feel free.
it's not like he's not this, performative, perfect extrovert. Like it just shows up as him. Like, hey, I noticed you had this problem. I actually have this solution over here. I was wondering if it would be of value to you. Like that is how Elijah operates naturally. He's not thinking of some long drawn out script. He's not pitch slapping you in your DMs. It's like, hey man, what's up? I got this thing going on. I thought it might be interesting to you because I remember you talked about that one problem. And like he's building connection capital because not only is he connecting with you, he listened, he positioned himself to close you on something, whether it's free, paid, or whatever, it's valuable because he listened to be able to position either the podcast, the collaboration, whatever it is you have going on. You're always good about either calling or texting and saying, hey man, I know you were struggling with that thing. I got this for you. And I wanted to, that's a perfect segue here. So thank you. Real networking is curiosity first, right? Service, which is like, how may I serve? Just those 4 words will change how you network in general. Resonance. How are you resonating with the person you're connecting with? Are you connecting for the sake of connecting, or are you connecting because there's actually either a connection you have with that person or someone that came to mind when you talk to that person that you can connect them with?
Well, didn't you say a little while back when I had asked you on my podcast, we did the Bit Summit panel, how is it you're able to get these interviews with these multiple like speakers and people at Bit Summit? And you said be more interested in the person than being interested in what you want or yourself.
Oh, I
You
said
said
that.
that, not me. You said that.
Oh, I think I remember what you're talking about. So becoming more interesting or interested than you are trying to be interesting. So like
Mhm.
I'm more interested in the person I'm connecting with than trying to impress them with who I am and what I have and what I do. And that's where most people get it wrong. They're trying to impress people with, like, we all know we're here at this networking event because we're all creators.
Mhm.
So I don't want to hear about what you're creating necessarily. I want to hear about like the story behind why you started creating. Like what was the thing that turning point that made you decide, okay, I'm going to stop doing my 9 to 5 and become a YouTuber, right? Like that's the thing I want to know, because I want to know what motivates you. Why are you passionate? It's that shared humanity. It's noticing people, right? And I'm really good about this. Sometimes not as good. I'm human, but like when I notice someone standing off to the side, like let's say me and you are talking and someone else is backstage, right?
A lurker.
Right, the lurkers. They want to get in the conversation, but they're trying to be polite, they're trying to be humble, they don't want to interrupt, and you just kind of pull them in. Hey, what do you do? What's your name? Who do you be? Right? And then that creates this little, I don't want to say threesome, that's not the right context. This
I'm
little
trying.
triad of
I'm trying
people.
to think of a nickname for it, but I guess it'll require further creativity. Please go on.
It's a little pod of people talking, right? And as that starts happening, someone else is interested and they kind of drift towards you, and those tend to be the introverts. And so you just kind of collect them, get them all talking, you kind of introduce everyone there. And then as you get a pod of like 5 to 6 people and you notice they're all talking, which is what they were afraid to do anyway, you just kind of sneak off and do it again. But can we talk about why the system broke in the first place?
The perception around networking,
or around talking to strangers in general. Just the
well,
I want to hear what you think about it.
Here's what I think. I compare. I make it sound like I'm some old person. I'm just a millennial, okay? But I do look at the generations and how things change. So baby boomers, the Zennials, the youngest generation, millennials, and there's been a steady like decline in what you're talking about. People essentially not talking to strangers because when you look at the results, the stats are showing that people are feeling more lonely than ever. They're having less friends. They're having less relationships, both romantic and non-romantic. And the key thing that all those things have in common is, well, everyone's a stranger at first. So if you're not interacting with strangers, you're not going to be able to get those 3 things that we talked about. And for me, I think it's all this technology we have access to and the social media, this making people hesitant about going up and talking to strangers because they feel they don't have to. Like if you don't talk to humans are sociable creatures. Yeah. And if you're not having any kind of sociality at all, that void inside yourself starts to get bigger and bigger, and to the point to where you're going to be forced to start talking to someone.
Yeah.
And by the time that happens, hey, you got outside your shell. You probably made some friends. You probably made some acquaintances. You probably dated a few people. But if we're going to be honest, that's because initially you had to keep yourself sane. But with this social media stuff, it gives the illusion of making connections oftentimes and talking to people when it's really not. So you get like a small little dopamine hit from interacting on social media instead of the full package if you met this person in person and formed a relationship with them. And instead of messaging them on social media about how's your day or all this stuff, maybe you just would have went out and went bowling with the person, and then y'all had a great time bowling. You might have bumped into a few other people bowling, and now y'all have this group of 4 people who are just, friends now. Or you may have, if you're hanging out with the fellas, y'all might have bumped into a group of ladies who are also bowling, and y'all are sharing lanes. So, hey, well, you don't want to be lonely. Why don't you come over here and join us? And before you know it, it's this whole group that happened very organically. But it all started because you decided to call your friend, like, let's go grab a beer or let's go bowling or something. I just want to catch up on like what's been going on with you, and I want to talk about my week too. But instead, we're using this to do it via social media, and that whole thing is stagnated and didn't happen.
No. And how many times do you make a connection, follower, or friend, depending on the platform, right, or subscriber, and you don't reach out to them as soon as that happens, or they don't reach out to you, or if they do, it's a pitch slap, right? Like they've been looking into us and they noticed this and they just want to know, like they just looked at the title, CEO or founder or whatever we do, and now they're trying to offer us some kind of solution. Like, do you ever reply to those? Like, do you ever even take your time to reply to a pitch slap?
I don't get them on social media, really, but I do get them a lot in email. And this is kind of funny because I get people reaching out all the time, like, hey, did you know that your YouTube videos can be SEO'd? Or like, hey, are you editing your own video? Like,
yep.
I came up with a Google form. So it's just a generic message I send out. Hey, I appreciate you reaching out. In order to work with the Side Hustle Society or Financial Anatomy, you need to fill this form out. We look forward to reading your form and potentially working with you. And the form is like a 30-question extensive, like basically survey on like, so how long have you been following us? What is the mission statement of Financial Anatomy? Why should we work with you versus all the other like 16,000 subscribers we have between 2 channels? How much do you charge for services? What's your website? It's this long form that like, unless they're about to like, they're not about to fill that stuff out.
No. Yeah, it's the I forgot what you call that. The gateway, the gatekeeping in a way. So Tiffany was mentioning they're beside your NPC when I was talking about the cards, the stack of cards. This is just the ones that are viable connections that, like could lead to something. But that's funny that I'm going to make me a little Google form that just,
Hey, look, I did it because these cats would drive me crazy.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
have tactics of getting out of your spam folder. So it's like you just mark it as spam. Because like a lot of these are so generic, they're not even using my name. It's like, hello,
Right.
Side Hustler Society. It's like, well, clearly this is just the
They didn't
shotgun
do any
approach.
research. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna give the same level of effort you're giving here, which is why you're getting the Google form.
Mhm.
But I am a solutions oriented guy. I don't like to plant like this dread feeling and then not give solutions.
Yeah.
Like the whole stranger thing, since you would have been forced to address this before the age of technology, but now you have the option not to. Essentially, what's making you hesitant to talk to strangers is basically one of two things. Every single thing is going to boil down to one of these two things. You're either scared of rejection or you don't have confidence in your communication skills. So if you can conquer those two things, I'll tell you the best way to improve your communication skills. Some people say sales and whatnot. Feel free, but I'll tell you something better. Go take an improv class.
Man, tell me why. I felt that coming, but also I'm planning an improv for professional communication class with this guy I met that was a stranger at one point named Chris Mock, who actually owns a t-shirt shop in Frisco called Big Frog Designs, I think. But this man is so memorable. One, he's almost 7 foot tall, so that makes him stand out literally. But also, like, his merch is always something that's very thoughtful. When I met this man, so we were at Code Launch. They had all this swag at all these different tables. No one had bags. Chris shows up with bags with his design, his logo, and his phone number printed on there. Everyone remembers Chris because he was the savior that had a bag for all the swag. And he does pocket knives and like those little notepads that have the branding on it, because people are going to see that every time they're taking notes, right? They're going to pull that out and they're like, and he could have done t-shirt 911, but that was taken. But his whole thing is t-shirts in 24 hours, like when you need an emergency t-shirt printed, basically. But he came to M3 Plus and he was on the panel and he was talking about improv, and he was just so good with the nuggets he had. But it all came from what he told us was that he took improv classes, and it taught you yes, and it taught you arm statements. So acknowledge, respond, move forward. And like, never, like you said, I don't like to dampen the mood with like just negativity and not give you a solution. Well, that's the same when you're dealing with a customer, right? You don't want to tell them, no, we can't do that, and then just stop there. It's like, yes, I understand that you need this and we can do this for you. Like, keep it going. Now, I want to talk about 4 things that we replaced and why the system broke and what it's led people to do. So we've replaced community with an audience, right? We're, instead of building community, we're building an audience, and an audience just sits there and watches you, but a community interacts with each other, right? We've replaced conversations like these with content, right? So I could have been here recording this content, but I had the idea to put the StreamYard link out. And if someone's bold and courageous enough, it's not a monologue anymore. It becomes a dialogue. We've replaced relationships with followers. And I don't know about you, Elijah, but the word follower alone says that you're behind me, right? So there's no relationship with the people behind me unless I turn around. And then we've replaced curiosity with performance. I was just curious to see if anyone would click the link and join, and here you are. And we might get more. Who knows? And that the more the merrier. But now it's turned to people overthinking every DM they send, or every email, or every message, or every piece of content they create. They're avoiding eye contact. I don't know if you've ever been in a public place and you've made eye contact with someone and they look away real quick. It's like they stay home. I've been guilty of this. I know that opportunities come when I leave my house. but I have been trained now, conditioned from COVID to just stay home all the time. You can do everything from home, sort of. They wait to feel ready. I don't think I've ever felt ready for something. I have typically been pushed. There's been no other option. It's sink or swim, and then I'm in there. Or, and we've all been guilty of this at some point as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners. We try to build a business without humans. And the only thing that keeps a business going is humans. So you cannot build a meaningful life while simultaneously avoiding meaningful interaction. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I have a story that I think people will be able to relate to because I've gone through a lot of what you're talking about. I think your audience, once they hear this, they'll frame things. See, I think a lot of people, let's talk about financial freedom for a sec. People think like they want to be financially free. So in the old days, people used to want to be financially free because they wanted to have experiences. Like, hey, instead of doing this, I'd rather be traveling the world, meeting people, having experiences, stuff like that. And at some point, there was a switch. I don't know if there's a switch in the marketing or the mentality, but people started to want to get financially free to actually not have experiences.
Right. To have FU money.
Yeah, I just want to sit around and play my video games and just watch movies and stuff like that. And interesting thing is, initially my motivation used to be basically I want to be free because I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. And that kind of came from I could sit down and play video games and basically do what I want. But I kind of grew out of that as time went on to really appreciate, what? I want to be free so I can actually have those experiences. This event that I'm actually free to go to. Now I can go now, but I wouldn't have been able to go in the past because I would be at work or I had to get up early the next day. And once I started looking at things from that perspective, my whole perspective and things just started to open up. I say that to say that I think it's important for us to put things in the right context because you can either be having experiences or you're avoiding having any experiences. One makes your world bigger and makes you more curious, brings more energy and people into your life. And one contracts your world, makes your world smaller. And by default, it puts you in a scarcity mindset. Which one do you want?
Man, that's amazing. I love the contrast. I learn by contrast. So which one do you want? Do you want to have more experiences or do you want to shrink your world and have less experiences? Do you want FU money or do you want help you money?
I like that.
Man, let's move on to what actually works now. Like what works when it comes to networking and talking to strangers? I've got a few here. Curiosity beats charisma any day. Like it's like pickup lines. You can have the best pickup line and memorize it and say it. And if it's not funny or if it's dirty or if it's just corny, like you've lost your chance. But if you are curious about, where a lady got her earrings or, how does she maintain her hair and make it so beautiful? Like, I really love the way your curls are just really, where'd you get those shoes? They really match your sweater, or your eyes are so amazing that there's things you can do in asking a question that you can't do in making a statement. Right. That's the first one that I have on my list here. So you can always get further by asking a question than you can by making a statement. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think questions are conversation starters and statements are usually ending the conversation. Like, well, let me drop this real quick before I'm about to exit the conversation. You kind of leave a statement. Like, oh, that's a powerful ending note. All right, well, we'll catch up later. Why would she be starting with the ending note?
Come on, man. Come on. It's open-ended versus closed-ended questions, right? You can ask a yes or no question. They give you a yes or no and it's over. Or you make a statement and it's like, well, thank you for that nugget, I think.
Right. I will say this. I'm going to take it from the perspective that someone has decided, you know what, they've sparked something in me. I'm going to start talking to strangers. So the next opportunity they get, let's say they're shopping at the grocery store and they have the opportunity to talk to a stranger. So what are some like actionable tips that they should do? First thing, look in the mirror before you step out. See, some
Mhm.
people they get quote unquote rejected or they don't get the experience that they want. But if they looked in the mirror, you don't have to be an image consultant to see that you didn't look like your best self. Think
Mm.
about it like this: would you want to be approached by yourself as you look now? And if the answer is no, can you be mad at anyone else for trying to find a way to exit the conversation if you wouldn't even want yourself approached by yourself? So
I mean,
when you leave home, you'll make sure your hair is on point. You'll make sure you're wearing something presentable. I mean, I think these are the bare minimum. And if you just change, because some people they go out like, and it's not even a thought. They don't even look in the mirror.
mm,
It's where people are leaving the house in their pajamas or like they're looking dusty or whatever, and then they want to act all surprised when they approach someone, and it's just not a good result. Like you get these clothes, like you ask the question, yes, no. In fact, I'm gonna face this direction. I'm not facing Gregory for a reason because I'm facing this direction because this is the escape zone. I don't want to talk to your ass. Like it's because you're making me awkward. But if you took the time to look in the mirror, get your hair straight, make sure the hygiene's on point,
yeah,
and just see what happens. At the very least, you'll probably have just a normal, courteous conversation. And if you hit the numbers, you're going to connect with some people just based on your personality. And it's important that you don't try and modify your personality because if you try and modify what you are, it's going to get exposed anyway. Link up with
yeah,
people that you're just normally compatible with. Because
yeah,
there are people that I don't like that cat because they talk too much. I don't like
mm,
that cat because they don't talk enough.
yeah.
But there's going to be people that you just kind of link up with. So,
And the curiosity, like if I'm curious about someone and I ask them a question, if someone tells me who they are, I've learned to believe them like the first time, right? And so if I'm asking questions and I'm starting to feel this vibe is performative or it's standoffish or it's awkward or it's, like I don't want to be bothered by you, then cool, I learned, right? It's probably not someone I need to be connected with. Let's move on. That rarely happens because I'm genuinely curious, but like the whole hygiene thing, like not leave. There's times I've left the house without looking in the mirror, and I can validate. I had crusties around my eyes. I got like dry skin all of my glasses. There's dry skin here. My lips are crusty, and my beard ain't manicured, right? And like if I catch a glimpse of myself in a mirror, then I start feeling like insecure. I'll go to the bathroom, like wet a towel and try to get as many of the crusties off. I keep some lotion in my car. Hopefully it's not denatured by the heat in Texas. I keep some in, some you gotta keep, I keep deodorant in my backpack. I keep like lip balm, this giant one. It's like offensively large because my right. Um and I keep some lotion in there too. And like we we don't we don't want our image to be the thing that people notice us by, but the reality is humans are visual creatures. They judge based on what they see. When I have a suit on, people treat me completely different than when I'm wearing like jeans and a t-shirt or I it's so crazy too cuz like people will call me sir. People like revere me and respect my time and I'm like what is happening right? Oh, I have a suit on. I have to remind myself that you literally dress for success. Thanks for your input on that one. The next one I had was consistency matters more than confidence. Sometimes doing the thing consistently over and over again is what builds the confidence, um, rather than like your personality, right? And you can attest to this. You probably weren't comfortable when you started networking, but because of the consistency, because of talking to people repeatedly, you've become kind of a natural at it. Like there's not a huge anxiety or something that stands in your way when it comes to reaching out. It's just a new habit for you, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of butchering the quote, but someone said that success is a habit, or
Mm.
like what you are, what you do repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing something on a regular basis, and it's up to you to make sure you are doing this on a regular basis, even if you suck at it at first, the law of consistency is going to start working in your favor, and you're
Yeah.
going to get better and better at it, and you're going to feel more comfortable and comfortable at it. And I like to call it the three C's. And you might
That's
suck at
tough.
first, but the three C's: constitution, confidence, charisma. You might be fumbling and doing something in the beginning that you have a weak constitution in that regard towards it, but you keep doing it. Eventually, you'll start to have a strong constitution. You'll be able to do it very efficiently. It's nothing like stylish or anything like that. It's just strong constitution. Then you keep doing it, you're going to graduate to the confidence tier, where you're going to start to project what you're feeling, what you're doing to other people, and they're going to start to rock with it because they can feel it. And then you keep doing this consistently, you can graduate to the charisma tier. Charisma is nothing but charming confidence. That's it.
Come on with the three C's: constitution, confidence, and charisma. And these are three different levels. I'm more curious about this constitution, because when I hear constitution, I think amendments and law and history. So what do you mean by constitution? I could pretend like I know, but I know someone's out there like, what constitution? I've never heard it in that context. But you also like to use words like penetrate the market. So
You're never gonna let me live that down.
I'm never gonna let you live that down. And I've heard other businessmen use it, but I'm like, I still can't. No. So what do you mean by constitution, man?
I mean, so people say like you have a strong constitution if you're unmoved, like nothing is making you nervous. So when you're first initially doing something, you might be a little nervous, you might be a lot of nervous, but let's say you start off a lot of nervous and people can tell, and that's kind of alienating people from wanting to know you further. Just keep going, and then eventually the nervousness will become less and less and less just through habit. Then you'll get to the point to where you have a strong constitution doing it, where the nerves aren't getting the better of you. Like,
Yeah.
okay, they're not nervous in front of me. And they're not charismatic. They might even be boring, but they're not nervous in front of me.
Yeah.
See, when you're nervous, people pick up on that energy and it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like,
once
why
you
are
graduate,
you nervous?
once you graduate to having a strong constitution, you're no longer nervous. Think of the public speaker that's giving their speech, and they're actually kind of boring, but they're conveying the information the way it's supposed to be conveyed. They're still going to get some people interested in what they have to say, but the simple fact that they're not up there just stuttering and shaking and that kind of stuff.
And apologizing and making excuses and telling you all the backstory about why this could have been better, but they did this, they forgot this. Yeah. No, energy doesn't die. It only transfers. And I love that you said that, you know, there's levels, right? Because it's the frequency, the intensity, and the duration of the negative feelings, the anxiety, the shaking, the sweating, the nervousness. Those start to decrease, and as time goes on, the frequency of it goes down, the intensity of it goes down, and the duration of it goes down. I get like this, it's almost like a spark now. It used to be something that overtook me to the point where my legs felt like they were going to give out under me, especially before I hit live, right? Or before I walked up to talk to somebody, or before I walked into a building that there were going to be people at. Now it's just like I feel my heart about to start pounding really hard, and then I take a deep breath, and it's like, you were born for this. Let's go. But it wasn't always like that. So I love that you shed some light on that and shared that. The next one I had on my list was shared environments accelerate connection. So, you know some people I don't know. I know some people you don't know. And we don't know that we don't know each other. Like we don't know that we don't have how am I trying to say this? We don't know that we have connections that either of us could benefit from unless we have that shared environment. What's a shared environment? A conference, a meetup, a coffee shop, a gym, a mastermind, volunteering somewhere. I've met some people that are still in my life from volunteer opportunities, and then live communities. Like this, what I'm building right now, Like, I'm tired of coming in here and talking to a camera, Elijah. Like, YouTube is a lonely place to be, right? It's always me making content by myself. But like, if there's someone else here with me, it just changes the way it is, right? And then, you know, momentum is easier to keep up than inertia is to break. Like, it is way harder to break inertia and get started than it is to like just keep up the momentum. Just show up daily, do one thing every day. So isolation is what kills that momentum and resets that inertia. Because I don't know about for you, but for me, when COVID happened, like, I got introverted. I got awkward going out. I got awkward again, all over again. It was like I had to relearn it. It didn't take long, but it was like riding a bike. You know, at first, when you get back on it after not being on it for a while, it's awkward for like the first couple minutes. And then you remember, oh, yeah, we're doing this. We've done this before. So what are your thoughts on shared environments, accelerating connection?
Well, I think it just comes down to people finding those shared environments, but you do have to put an intentional effort to find the shared environment or the environments to start with. What are those environments? You gave a great example. Volunteering is a great environment to meet people. And honestly, it could be a good nudge into talking to strangers because you're going to be put in a scenario where all of y'all are there for a purpose. And when you're there, when everyone's there for a purpose, it's easier to talk to a quote unquote stranger. So that could
Yeah.
be kind of a
Yeah.
warm up to talking to, someone like randomly in the grocery store. Start volunteering. Not only will you be helping a worthy cause, but you'll also be organically expanding your network. And
Yeah.
it takes a certain type of person to be a volunteer because someone who's going to be volunteering is usually a giving person by nature. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
Right. Right. Man, I
But
love that.
that's just one example. Nowadays, there are several environments, based on your hobbies or your skills or what you want. You just got to go out and find them. They're on Eventbrite, they're on Meetup app. Just I think good places to start with your hobbies and things that you like. And if you don't have any hobbies, it's time to expand your horizon and try new things.
Definitely. Yeah, like try a dancing class or painting with a twist or dart throwing, axe throwing. Like, do something, man, for the sake of just you only have one. Look, people live like they're going to live forever. They know when they're born, but they'll never know when they die, right? It could happen tomorrow. It could happen to have a heart attack on this podcast, Lord forbid. But like, we never know when we're going to die, but we live as if we're going to live forever. And like, we only have a certain amount of years. Like, I was reflecting last night on my way to sleep. Like, I've been alive for 42 years and it feels like it flew by. And if I'm lucky, I've got 40, 50, maybe 60 left in me, but only 20 of those are going to be really good, like quality years, depending on how well I take care of my body. And if this last 20 flew by, right? I remember holding my kids as babies and now they have babies, right? Like, if it flew by, I've only got 20 years to make an impact, which is why I decided I'm just going to go live every day. I mean, at least every Monday, but like, do something every day to contribute to this legacy. And I love that you said, like, you mentioned volunteering and how it's serving, like it takes a certain person. The next thing I had on my list was give before asking. Like, show up with encouragement. It doesn't have to be like something tangible, but like encouragement, insight, introducing them to someone else they may need. Listening, an ear is a contribution. Most people don't have someone to listen to them. And energy, just you bringing who you are, your energy to a space, that's enough sometimes. But you have to give before asking for anything. And typically, you won't even have to ask. If you give enough, eventually what's going to happen is the law of reciprocity is going to kick in and someone's going to feel bad because you keep giving and they can't understand. Like, people are not readily like receptive to receiving, especially because everything feels so transactional nowadays. It's like, nothing's free. Why are you helping me right now? Like, what do you want from me? Right? They're going to ask that at some point. And then it's like, I don't want anything for you except for your success. people have a hard time stomaching that one. Like that you really don't want anything from them. You just want to see them succeed. So what are your thoughts on the giving before asking? I know you mentioned volunteering as something, but do you have any thoughts before we move on to these practical steps that they can try immediately to talk to more strangers and get the hell out of their own way so they can get where they were meant to be in the first place?
I think it's important to have the mindset for outlining the practical steps because if you don't have the right mindset, the steps aren't going to be followed anyway because you're not going to do it. And I would share this story that I had in a Smoothie King in Cedar Hill one day. I was waiting for my to order my smoothie, and I could tell the woman up front. She I think I was like 27 at the time. I could tell maybe she was like 19, so fairly young. And
Yeah.
the person in front of me, maybe she was taking too long to do the order. Maybe she messed up. I don't know the details of what made this guy so mad, but you just start mouthing off. He was just mad, and that just kind of I could tell it's probably her first day too. And eventually she managed to get through his order, and then he went and sat down, and I'm up. And before she started on mine, I just told her, "Hey, don't worry about that, dude. He's probably just having a bad day. I mean, you didn't do anything necessarily, but I didn't say you didn't do anything necessarily wrong. Just, don't worry about that, dude. He's probably just having a bad day. Don't take it personal." She's like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And then, she got my order and put my smoothie through. A few months later, I went through there, and she happened to be working there again, and she remembered. She's like, "Oh, I just remember Elijah. He told me that 'cause I have the app, so they know my name when they scan the app. Oh, I just remember like he gave me these words of encouragement on my first day, and that really helped me because I was probably gonna quit that day. But when I heard him say that, I just managed to muscle through it, and it did get better. And it was just that one guy. It wasn't like every single customer was gonna be like that.
Wow.
Now, did I get anything from that? Well, it made me feel good because I calmed her down. But
Yeah.
some people are gonna say, "What about the tangible thing?" No, I didn't. But the universe has a way of giving back to you, even if it's not from that particular person. So if
Come
you
on,
just keep the
speak on
giving
it.
mentality from the beginning, it may come from them or it may come from somewhere else. But at the end of the day, even if I wasn't going to get anything out of it, just her smiling was enough for me and taking that
Man,
nervous frown off her face.
that is so beautiful. And one thing I've noticed, like the whole reason I wrote the book in the first place is because I live by contrast. And I noticed that when I was giving all the time without expecting anything in return, it was like God, the universe, was reciprocating in other areas. Like I may not get monetary gain here for giving over here, or like from the same person I gave to, but eventually it was like filling up a bank of good deeds and they would come back. Opportunities would come. I'd meet another stranger that just so happened to have the opportunity for me. And, I'll tell the quick story. I told him I was going to read the forward to my book. It's only 2 pages. Um, Actually, that's the dedication. That's the epigraph. I don't know why I have all this crap in here. I think it was like suggested, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll put all that in there, but it's not really necessary. So the lady that wrote the forward to my book was a stranger at one point. I'd just moved to Keller. We went to Gateway together. And don't worry, I'm getting to the practical steps, but I want you to see just how far one interaction with a stranger went. We went to Gateway. I was sitting on the front row somewhere, and I had just moved to Keller, just started going to Gateway, North Fort Worth, went across the street to this boba tea house. I'm sitting by myself about to eat some sushi. And this lady walks up to me and she says, "Hey, I know you from church. Can I sit with you?" And I was like, "Sure." So she sits with me with her friend Barbara. We start talking. And I had mentioned that I was going to propose to my wife and I was going to do a flash mob. And she said, "That's incredible. Let's create a Facebook group and I got a choreographer. Let's get a bunch of dancers together and let's practice and do it." I was like, "Seriously?" And that started the Griffney flash mob proposal, right? That was one thing, just one from one conversation. Then maybe like a couple months later, she reached out to me and said she had this opportunity for a barista supervisor, but it was in Richardson. I lived in Keller. That's 90 miles round trip. I passed 33 Starbucks on the way there and back. Why this one? And it was $14 an hour. I had child support I was paying at the time. None of it made sense, but I did it anyway, right? I took that opportunity because it was a supervisor position. And I knew I have 5 kids now with Tiffany. Just proposed to this woman with 3 kids. I've got 2. Waiting tables isn't going to take care of this forever. And that opportunity was where I learned about UX design, which took me from $30K a year to $250K a year with no degree, because I got to perform who I was and do the thing I do best: connect dots, bridge gaps, break silos. And that was my resume, was what I did at that bar, which led to writing this book, because I found something that works so good that no matter where you are, you can level up in life. That's why I wrote From Waiter to Grader. So can I read to you, Elijah? I see you got books you like to read. Have you ever been read to?
Oh, feel free. But well, you got to make me a promise though.
Let's go.
Drop that book in your chat, because someone's listening. They might want to grab a copy.
You know what? See, this is why I keep you around, bro. You keep it 98 plus 2 with me. That's 100, by the way.
Well, we don't want to tease the audience. So you go and you start dropping game about your book, like, oh man, this sounds great. So let me look into it. Let me check it. Oh wait, there's a link. I can't click on it. Oh, I feel teased. It's like I saw the preview, but then I can't even go to the movie showing, and I'll buy the tickets.
But nobody told me where to buy them.
Right.
Thank you for that. So I'm gonna read the foreword. This is by Jenny. And Jenny was the one that walked up to me and asked if she could sit with me, that helped me put the flash mob together to propose to my beautiful wife of 10 years now, going on 10 years in July, and literally helped change the trajectory of my life by giving with no expectation. So she said, every so often, God places someone in your life in a way that you just know is divine. That's how my friendship with Gregory began over a decade ago. And over the years, I've had the privilege of witnessing God's continued transformative work in his life firsthand. Now, the little, I have little like quotes on, where am I going? Okay, so it says, God is source, everything else is resource. Now, I know you are not religious, but you believe in a higher power.
It's fair to say that.
Fair to say that. So this is just from my experience. You know, we get along regardless of religion or politics. I just wanted to preface, she's going to talk about God in here. And, you know, if God doesn't work, use it as an acronym. Good orderly direction.
I like that.
Still works, right? The Gregory I met 10 years ago and the Gregory you're about to experience in this book are proof that when we humble ourselves and allow God to lead, he will do mighty things through those who love and trust him. Things we could never fathom accomplishing on our own. Gregory and I both come from humble beginnings. We worked hard to move forward professionally, but watching Greg find his true self and boldly, yet humbly, walk through this most recent season has been deeply inspiring. From Waiter to Grader is more than a book. It's a testimony, a reflection of Gregory's ability to stay authentically himself while walking a fantastical journey of trying, failing, loving, leading, learning, and being vulnerable in the unknown. Quick story real quick. The book was going to be called I Have No Idea What I'm Doing, but That's Why It's Working. Myron Golden himself said, that's not sexy. He didn't say that in those words. He just was like, nobody wants to buy a book from someone that doesn't know what they're doing. Just putting that out there. His stories of God kisses throughout this book are reminders that God is always with us and wants the very best for his children. Gregory has a true gift for connection. He lights up any room he walks into. And more importantly, he allows those in his presence to feel seen and heard. In these pages, you'll see how much he values relationship and community, and how intentionally cultivated relationships can propel us forward in ways we never imagined. Some of my favorite quotes from the book, but the most memorable moments weren't about the work itself. They were about the connections and trust built through genuine service. Then the second one is, the growth that came from networking, volunteering, and giving back was transformative. It didn't just advance my career, it shaped me as a person. The more I engaged, the more I saw that success isn't just about what you accomplish on your own. It's about the impact you make by contributing to others' journeys as well. And then the last one, if you're not humble, you will be humiliated. Always remember, God is the source. Everything else is a resource. It's not me. It's the power that is in me through him. Gregory lives out this with every interaction. He lifts up those around him and shines his light on their gifts, allowing God to weave all of us together into a beautiful tapestry of love and service. I'm so proud of Gregory, of the growth he's chosen, the light he carries, and the legacy he's building. He's showing us all how to take our weaknesses and use them as launching pads towards something greater. And in doing so, he allows God to create something beautiful out of each of us together. Each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms. 1 Peter 4:10. With much love and admiration, Jenny Jongeron, aka Jenny, because we always spell her name wrong with a Y instead of IE. It's IE, by the way. So I read that to let you know that that started as a stranger. And she literally changed the trajectory of not only my life, but everyone's life I've impacted, my children's life, their children's lives. And it all started with inviting. I didn't even invite, like she asked and I just said yes. So say yes to the stranger. Say yes to talking to the stranger. Get out of your comfort zone, right? Now, these practical steps I have, they are what I call the stranger reps, right? There's easy mode, there's medium mode, and there's hard mode.
Like a video game?
Yeah, that's right. So for those of you that are newer to this, I'm going to give you the easy setting. We're just going to dive right into it. So just compliment one person daily. That's one thing you can do. You can ask a cashier how their day is. Elijah just told you a story about leaving encouragement for a cashier, right? Make eye contact. Don't turn away. That's weird. That's awkward. Like, just look someone in their eyes. What do you have to hide? Right?
I do have something to add to that. If you struggle with looking people in the eye, and even when you do look at someone in the eye, sometimes like your eyes will be wandering and you don't even know that they're wandering, but that can be perceived as like maybe you're not confident. Focus on one eye. And your eyes won't wander. You'll find it's much easier to maintain eye contact. And well, just give it a try, because I can describe it, but I can only go so far. The next person you talk to, you're going to make eye contact anyway. Just focus on pick an eye, the right eye or the left eye. Just focus on that. You'll find it's much easier to maintain eye contact, and your eyes won't be wandering like back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Because I remember, like, I'm a very literal person, Elijah. When people told me to make eye contact, I'm like, how though? It's like when I look at their eyes, my eyes keep shifting back and forth because I'm like, which eye am I looking at? I can't look at both at the same time because then I go cross-eyed, right? So that's a good point. Thank you for speaking to the people that were like me. And then the easiest one, like most people have resting bitch face. Excuse my phrase, but it's real. Most people have RBF. Their natural state is to look mad, especially when they're thinking, right? It's like, and so you think everyone's mad at you. But if you smile first, man, a smile is so contagious. Watch this.
Big difference.
I'm seeing how long it takes before it catches on to you.
And what's the test? I'm confused.
You're smiling though now. It's contagious. Just smile, like just when you catch eye contact with someone, smile. That's it. Sometimes that's enough to start the conversation, just to smile. And then medium mode. Y'all ready for medium mode? Drop it in the chat. I know there's not many people watching right now, but if you're on the replay, I want to hear what's stood out to you so far. Like what's your experience with talking to strangers? How has talking to strangers changed your life? The medium mode is this is where it gets fun. This is just normal, right? If we're going on the video game analogy, this is normal mode. Start conversations in lines. If you're in line waiting for something, start a conversation. The coolest thing to do to start a conversation is compliment someone's shirt. People are really like intentional about the shirts they put on, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just throw something on, and so you'll mention something about what's on their shirt and they're like, what? And then they looked, oh, okay, yeah. Then the story comes after that shirt. So start a conversation in line. Shoes, shirt, hair, easy, right? Ask people what they do. People love to talk about themselves. People's favorite subject is themselves. So give them a platform for them to talk about themselves and then listen intentionally. Attend one meetup event monthly, once a month. That's 12 a year. It's not much. Meetup, Eventbrite, Facebook events. Like there's stuff happening every day, multiple times a day. You're going to find something. Just do it. Just do it. You'll thank me later. And then DM someone you admire. You never know. Like I reached out to Marin Costa. She was on this Netflix special called Buy Now. I looked her up on LinkedIn because she's in my field, and I thanked her for what she did on that show. We ended up having a conversation. This lady was on Netflix. Like, I didn't think she was going to respond. I just wanted to thank her for what she was doing. And she actually replied. And that's led to some pretty cool things. And there's more things in the pipeline. But reach out to someone you admire. You never know. And this actually works for like getting coupons. Like if you send an email to like Coca-Cola or Red Bull, I actually sent a song I did like 15, 20 years ago now to Red Bull saying that, you know, I made a song about an energy drink. They sent me a 24 pack of Red Bull. That's cool. I haven't done it again since, but maybe I'll do that too, because that kind of stuff works. And what are your thoughts? You got something for medium mode, Elijah? I know you got something brewing.
Well, it goes with the talk to someone in line, but I would add for the grocery store in particular, this is another thing. Be selective on when you get your groceries. If your objective is to talk to more people, it takes more time, but go in the evening time when more people are going to be in there. Don't be hitting up the grocery store like at 11:30 in the morning when everyone's at work and no one's going to be in there. But once that happens, look at the person's cart or basket in front of you, and y'all might have some things in common. I do it all the time. If I see a vegan item in a cart and this person's in front of me, that's a conversation starter.
Let's go. You find that. What's the word I'm looking for? You find that common ground. That's the easiest way to start a conversation. Common ground. Someone got an AC/DC shirt on. You listen to AC/DC. Let's go. Someone got a Tupac shirt on. You like Tupac? Let's talk about it.
This might go in easy/medium, maybe somewhere in between. But you could what you're wearing, wear something that reflects more of your personality. So if you like anime, you wear a Yu Yu Hakusho shirt. That can encourage people who are interested in anime to bring it up and talk to you too.
Yeah, I've actually last meetup I went to, which is a big design conference. I took some people to lunch. I just gathered a bunch of people in my Tahoe that I just random strangers I put together. It was the most fun I've had in a while. And I told them to talk about things that they were passionate about. Well, turns out 3 of them were not only like interested in anime, but the same anime. And one was a cosplay person. One actually created the props, and the other one like had a digital version of it. And they all connected after that, and they've been connected since. It was really cool to see that happen. And it just reminded people that we're all the same. We're just in different places. Tiffany mentioned the guy in the book aisle at Target. And I'm trying to think of which time, because I've done this multiple times. If I'm in the book aisle at Target or I'm in the book aisle anywhere and someone is looking at a book, I'm sparking a conversation. Like, what do you like about that book? Which book is your favorite? What do you do? Like something. I don't remember which one because I've done that so much. Who's ready for hard mode? You ready for hard mode?
Oh, I can't wait.
All right, let's go. So this is particularly, and I wrote about this in the book. Like I used to hate eating in front of people and going places alone. And I was afraid of anything until I started trying to do things that scared me or was brought to the forefront of my mind. And so go to an event alone. Don't have someone you bring with you. Go alone. That's the real challenge, right? Because now you don't have that crutch. You don't have that pacifier. You don't have that safety blanket, safety net. So go alone, or ready for number 2, host an event yourself. If you can't find an event for the people that you need to find, then maybe you're the one that needs to bring it to life. Just saying. Invite people to coffee. Now, I put this one, but it's really interesting, and I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to rub some people wrong, but I am who I am.
Ooh.
Who the hell invited coffee as a way to meet? Coffee is a diuretic. And so what are we doing here? I'm going to drink the coffee. You're going to drink the coffee. And now we're going to sit here and have this awkward conversation while both of our bowels are moving. And we're going to try not to like look like we're about to poop ourselves. Who did this? Like, let's meet for water or tea or I don't know, food. But like the conversation gets real awkward. And like I often notice it when I'm meeting with ladies, especially, they won't drink the coffee. They'll take a sip. But the people that do drink the coffee, it's like, excuse me real quick. I gotta go hit the
John.
And I'm like, but why? But why though? But yeah, invite someone to coffee. You'll get to know them on a deeper level. I'll just say that. Next one is recording content in public. A lot of people like to record their content in a silo, or you ever catch the teenager and they're like doing their TikTok and then someone walks by and they're like, someone's watching us, and they stop it and they just kind of stop until you leave. Like, what's that about? Record your content in public. Invite people. Like, can I ask you a few questions on camera? What? Yeah. Most people will say no, but eventually you'll get that person that wants to hop on your live, right?
Yep.
And then the last one is speak first in the rooms. Like when they say raise your hand, or does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a comment? Be the first to raise your hand. It's leadership, hopping out in front of it. And those are my practical steps. You got anything to add to hard mode? I know you got something.
Okay, so you find a meetup and you have fun. Maybe you meet some people at the meetup, but the meetup has to end. And especially at the bigger meetups, most people aren't actually ready to go home, but they'll go home because the meetup is over. Be that person, and maybe you can hang out at after the event is over, you can just kind of hang out outside. Be the person to say, hey, I know the meetup is over, but I was thinking about, going out to eat at such and such restaurant that's across the street. Does anyone want to come with me? Watch how many people want to go with you, because they don't want to go home, but they want to go somewhere else, but they're not going to be that guy to actually initiate it. Be that guy to initiate it. You became the most interesting person in that group that follows you over there, number one. Number two, you basically acknowledge something that people, you're saying it out loud. Oh, we don't want to go home, but we understand that the event can't go on forever. But where's the after party at? Make your own after party, and people are going to join you.
Yep. That's the man. You've been the one to do that. I've done that, and it always works out for the better. Always. But the after party is where the real connections are made. Right? Because people are out of the context of whatever that meetup was, and now the walls are coming down, especially over food. I'm gonna drop some questions on them that they can ask strangers in case they're like, there's way too much in their head about what should I say. I'm going to give you a few things, and these are writer downers. What are you most excited about? People love to talk about themselves. Again, ask them what they're excited about and watch them light up. How'd you get into what you do? There's a story right there. Stories bring out so much. What's something most people misunderstand about your industry? Two things are going to happen here. One, you're going to learn about the industry they're in. Two, you're going to learn about what they're passionate about in their industry. And you're going to learn something new that might connect another dot in your life. And then what's the biggest lesson you've learned lately? That'll get people reflecting. It'll get them thinking about what they've gone through in the context of, yeah, there was a lesson in that. I wasn't going to say this, or I didn't think this until you asked that question, but maybe what I was going through, and it's like a therapy session. And then what are you building right now? People are always excited to talk about what they're building. Oh, Tiffany had made a comment. She said he was there acting like he was shopping. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. So now I remember there was this guy that was in the book, and shameless. He was in Target. He was in Target, and he was in the book aisle. He was a multi-level marketer, but he was acting like he was there to like shopping, but he was talking to people about his book. Or no, it was his multi-level marketing thing.
I bet it was Amway.
It was either Amway or something like that. I don't even remember. but he was trying to network in the book aisle and it was genius. And she said, didn't finish my comment. He was in the environment that people were trying to work with would be in. So he knew where his ideal client was hanging out and he went there to network, but he disguised it as shopping and then started with a curiosity conversation. I was like, dude, I gotta respect the hustle. Like, for real. That's genius right there. So the biggest reframe, if you heard nothing else from this today, stranger danger made sense for children. Obviously, we want to protect our kids, but some adults have accidentally turned it into their life philosophy. And I just want to ask you this question. What stranger are you going to talk to today? Whose life are you going to change by just showing up and asking the first question, giving the first compliment? Like, what way could your life change if you just got out of your way and talked to a stranger? Elijah, you got any closing comments, sir?
I would say really focus in on that easy, normal, and hard mode because it provides a framework that you can work through, which is your specialty. So a lot of people, they instantly think in their head, they jump into that hard mode stuff when they picture talking to strangers. You don't have to start there. Start with the easy mode. And when the easy becomes too easy, move on to normal. Normal becomes too easy, move on to hard. And eventually hard will become too easy. And at that point, you'll be the type of person that, if we're really going to be honest, the word stranger will start to lose its meaning because you're going to find that people aren't really strange. You've pretty much heard it all.
Come on, Elijah, with the nuggets. Let's go. Also, Greater University exists because I realize that thoughtful people need rooms where they can practice becoming again. And if you want to meet strangers that are doing amazing things, I highly encourage you to join the Greater University. It is free to join, free to pop in. We meet weekly Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're currently trying to work out a better time that works for everybody because I realize most people may be doing some kind of church thing at that time, or they have prior engagements. So, suggest a time. But I'm dropping that link to the school, the Greater University. It is a community where like-minded people are growing, leveling up together, and we work through the Greater Framework, which are 7 principles that when you use them, no matter where you are, you will level up. It is not an if, it's a when. And I almost always forget to invite people. So we're starting that up again this Wednesday. And you just need a room of people moving the same direction. It does help to be in the room. So what conversation are you avoiding that could potentially change your life? Who might be waiting on the other side of your courage? And what if the next opportunity has already crossed your path, but you never said hello? So with that, I'm going to encourage y'all to be bold and courageous, do everything that you do with passion, and I promise you will have a life that you love. I hope this video blesses you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.